Hi friends, today we'll be starting the male genital organs and the first part of the male genital organ. So the male genital organ is divided into the internal male genitalia and the external male genitalia. The male genitalia includes the penis, the scrotum, the testes, the epididymis and the spermatic cord. The prostate gland and the spinal vesicles are also part of the male genital system, but they are responsible, they are included in the accessory glands, which secretes the prostatic fluid and the seminal fluid, which is included in the semen. As in female, you have two ducts, one for the copulation or the birth canal and one for the micturition. But in males, you have only one tract which is responsible for micturition and ejaculation. The spermatogenesis requires a lower temperature. Henceforth, the testes are situated outside the body within the scrotum and they are responsible for spermatogenesis. So the organs which are included in the male genitalia are the penis, the scrotum, the testes, the epididymis and the spermatic cord. So these are the structures which are responsible or which are included in the male genital organs. We'll be starting off with the penis. Now penis is a male organ of copulation and it is made up of two portions. The root of penis, which is an attached portion, and the body, which is called as the free portion. The root of the penis is situated in the superficial perineal pouch. It is situated in the superficial perineal pouch and is composed of three masses of erectile tissues. So it is made up of three erectile tissues which are two crura. Okay, so you have the right and the left crura and one bulb. So you have two crura and one bulb. Each crus, so crura is a plural form. When we talk about single, it is called as crus. So each crus is firmly attached to the pubic arch. It is attached to the pubic arch and is covered by ischiocavernosus. It is covered by ischiocavernosus. So each crus is attached to the pubic arch and is covered by ischiocavernosus. Whereas the bulb is attached to the perineal membrane. It is attached to the perineal membrane between the two crura. So I'll show you in the diagram. Okay, so you have, it is attached to the perineal membrane between the two crura and is covered by bulbospongiosus. Okay, so the covering of the crus or the crura is called as ischiocavernosus and the covering of the bulb is called as bulbospongiosus. Okay, and within this you have the it is pierced by the urethra, which travels the total length right up to the glans. Now
the urethra which is present at the base or the root of the penis has a small dilatation within the bulb, and that is called as intrabulbar fossa. So I'll just come to there. So it is traveled by the urethra, and the dilatation of the urethra in the bulb is called as intrabulbar fossa. So this is the root of the penis that I've already explained to you. So this is the crus, and you have the bulb in between this, and within this bulb you have the urethra which is passing here. So if you see the side ways, this is the urethra which is traversing in within the from the bulb, from the corpus spongiosum right up to the glans, and here is the dilatation that I have spoken about, that is called as the intrabulbar fossa. So this is the crus, the covering is called as ischiocavernosus, and you have the bulb, and the bulb is covered by bulbospongiosum. So this portion is the root of the penis. Now let's talk about the body of the penis. This is the free portion of the penis and is completely enveloped by the skin. So this portion that you see here, okay, this is the skin. Okay, so this is the total skin, and it is continuous with the root in front of the lower part of the pubic symphysis. Okay, so here if you see, okay, it is covered by the skin like this, and it is covered, this portion is totally attached with the pubic symphysis. Now this free portion is composed of 3 elongated masses of erectile tissue. During erection of the penis, these masses become engorged with blood, which leads to considerable enlargement. Now these masses are the right and the left corpora cavernosa, and the median portion is called as corpus spongiosum. So you have 3 erectile tissue. This is called as corpus cavernosa, and this is called as corpus spongiosum. Okay, this is the opening, this is the urethra which is traversing from it. The penis has a ventral surface which faces backward and downward, and a dorsal surface which is facing, the ventral surface faces backward and downward, remember, and the dorsal surface which is facing forward and upward. Now the 2 corpus cavernosa are the forward continuation of the crura. So this continues ahead like this, okay, and this is called as the corpus cavernosa. Both these they are opposition, they are not together, okay, and between this you have the continuation of the bulb, that is the corpus spongiosum. Now these corpus are surrounded by a strong fibrous capsule. So these are surrounded by strong fibrous capsule or an envelope, okay, which is called as tunica albuginea, which is called as tunica albuginea. These tunica albuginea has superficial longitudinal fibers, superficial longitudinal fibers, which encloses both the corpora, that means the corpora spongiosum and the corpora cavernosa, and it has a deep circular fibers, deep circular fibers. They enclose each corpus separately and also form a median septum. I'll just try to show you in a small diagram. So when we take the transverse section of the body of the penis, this is the structure what we see. Okay, so I'll try and explain to you what is. See, so these two portions are the corpus cavernosum, and you have the covering. So this, as I've told you, it has two strong fibrous bands or capsule that is called as tunica albuginea. So this is the tunica albuginea. Okay, now the circular fibers which are there, they enclose this cavernosa separately, and they also form the septum. Okay, whereas superficial are longitudinal fibers, and it covers the cavernosa as well as the corpus spongiosum here, this way separately. So the superficial longitudinal covers separately, and the deep circular fibers, it covers the corpus spongiosum, and also it separates them by a septum. This corpus cavernosa has a deep artery of the penis is here. Okay, so this is the deep artery of penis. Okay, in this corpus spongiosum you have the urethra, which is within this. This is the urethra. Okay, now if you see the structure, this outer portion is the skin, which is I put it in green color. This is the skin. Okay, so this portion which is there, I'll try and make it one color here. This portion which is there, this is the deep fascia and the superficial fascia. So you have this outer portion which is there, this is the superficial fascia, and then you have this inner portion which is there, it is called as the deep fascia. So you have the skin, the superficial fascia, and the deep fascia. Within this superficial fascia, you have one structure which is very important, that is the superficial dorsal vein. This one. This is the superficial dorsal vein of penis. Okay, in the deep portion you have deep dorsal vein, deep dorsal vein of the penis here. This is the deep dorsal vein of penis. So you have the superficial dorsal vein in the superficial fascia, you have the deep dorsal vein in the deep fascia. On each side you have dorsal artery of the penis. This is on each side. You have the dorsal artery of the penis, and next to this here you have one more structure that is called as the dorsal nerve of penis. Okay, so just to revise, in the transverse section, the skin, the superficial fascia, the deep fascia, you have the corpus cavernosus, two sides, the septum which is made of the circular band of tunica albuginea, the longitudinal fibers covering the corpus cavernosum and the corpus spongiosum. Within the corpus spongiosum you have the urethra. Then in the superficial fascia you have the superficial dorsal vein. In the deep fascia, on the dorsal aspects, you have the dorsal deep vein, you have the dorsal artery, and you have the dorsal nerve. Okay, now let's come back. The corpus spongiosum is a forward continuation of the bulb of the penis. It is the terminal part, its terminal part, it forms a conical enlargement that is called as the glans penis. Throughout its whole length, it is traversed by the urethra, Like the corpora, it is also surrounded by the fibrous sheath that we have already spoken in the transverse section. Now the base of the glans penis, so this portion, okay, is called as the glans penis. The base of the glans penis has a projection margin which is called as the corona glandis. So this portion which is here is called as the corona glandis. It is called as corona glandis, which overhangs an obliquely grooved constriction which is called as the neck of the penis. So see here, if we talk about this portion here, this is the glans penis, and this portion which is there, which is constricted here, is called as the neck of the penis. The base of the glans penis that we have already spoken is the corona glandis, and the constriction part is called as the neck. Now the second dilatation, first dilatation of the urethra we had spoken about was at the base of the penis, that was called as intrabulbar fossa, and the second dilatation of the urethra is within the glans. This is called as navicular fossa. It is called as navicular fossa. So you have this dilatation which is called as intrabulbar, and the second dilatation of the urethra is called as navicular fossa. The skin covering the penis is very thin and dark in color. It is loosely connected with the facial sheath of the organ. At the neck, it is folded to form the prepuce or the foreskin. Here, okay, at the neck, it is folded to form the prepuce or the foreskin. So this portion is called as the foreskin, which covers the glands to varying extent and can be retracted backward to expose the glands. On the undersurface of the glands, there is a median fold of the skin which is called as frenulum. So on the undersurface of the glands, the skin is attached to the glands which is called as frenulum. And the potential space between the glands, so if I talk about, this is the glands, this is the skin, so the potential space which is here, okay, see the potential space which is here is called as the preputial sac, and this preputial sac contains the sebaceous gland or small preputial glands which secretes a sebaceous material, which is called as smegma. This is very important as far as the medical legal aspect in rape cases is considered. So this is the preputial sac, preputial space which has preputial glands which secretes a sebaceous material. This material is called as smegma. It is important in medical legal aspects in rape cases. Mechanism of erection of penis. Erection of penis is purely vascular phenomena. So it is a vascular phenomena. The turgidity of the penis during erection is contributed by the following factors. So what are the factors which are responsible for erection? Number one, that is dilatation of helicine arteries. Dilatation of helicine arteries. These helicine arteries pose an increased amount of arterial blood into the cavernosus spaces of corpora cavernosa. The blood is poured into the corpus spongiosum and into the glands by the arteries. As the spaces with the erectile tissue fill up, the penis enlarges. So the enlargement takes place basically by the dilatation of the helicine arteries which pours the blood into the corpora cavernosa, then into the corpus spongiosum and into the glans penis, which leads to enlargement of penis. The second, this enlargement presses on the veins which prevents the outflow. so preventing the outflow from the veins. Okay, so the enlargement presses on the veins, preventing the outflow of the blood through them, and the contraction of the ischio-cavernous muscles probably has the same effect. So you have the dilatation, then the venous flow is stopped, hence the blood is engorged there, and that engorgement of the blood gives the rigidity to the penis. Rigidity is caused. Now the erection is also controlled by parasympathetic nerves, okay, from S2, S3 and S4. Okay, so this is the mechanism of erection.
Hi friends, so today we have completed the penis. So just to revise, two parts of the penis: the root of the penis, the free portion. I've talked about the details of it. Then we are speaking about its transverse section. You have to look into the diagram, understand it. And I have covered the arterial and the veins within the transverse section. So you have to remember the arterial supply and the venous supply and the nerve supply, the names of it within the transverse section that I've already said, and then the mechanism. So dear friends, the total questions that come from the penis is: what are the parts of the penis? Explained in details. The mechanism of the penis. These are the two important questions which can come from this topic. But remember, you have to understand the diagram and the diagram also of the transverse section. If any queries are there, if any questions are there, you're free to ask or comment or ask me. I'll try and solve. Thank you very much.